in a cold breeze, steel boots on the sand, no ease. Propellers hum the Soviet quest, but the island ain't weak, not less. She-hot tanks roaring loud and clear, zombie hula girls, no fear. Tiki terrors rise, eyes ablaze, Soviets drown in the island haze. Island don't surf, island don't win, Tiki terrors won't let them in. She-hot tanks make the ground shake, zombie hula girls' hearts won't break. Under moonlight chants they clash, steel meets flame, bones will thrash. Cold War's heat, the island's grip, Tiki rage will never slip. Drums beat, wild waves take hold, Soviet shiver, hearts turn cold. In the depths of night they fail, Tiki terror's ancient tale. Island don't surf, island don't win, Tiki terrors won't let them in. She-hot tanks make the ground shake, zombie hula girls' hearts won't break. Hearts won't break.
Howdy, it's your old pal, Tiki the Hut. Thanks for joining me again on another Too Late Tonight with Tiki. Hey, how's it going? RK, Bad Rabbit, how's it going? I'm doing well, Bad Rabbit. Thanks for asking, man. I am, just reflecting on all the news for Conflict 47, while also, hey, Irish, what's going on, buddy? While also getting my my MP platoon ready. Thank you, RK and Irish, for helping me with building this MP platoon. I know it's definitely been a task, and I appreciate y'all for the assistance. Your help is greatly appreciated. So I've been using a mixture of the new US Ranger box. There we go. The new US Ranger box. Some other bits I have lying around, like here's the company commander, or I guess the platoon commander. I'll paint a vertical line on the back that's helmet for an officer, and I'll write the MP on the front. He's hiding behind a barrel. He's got some grenades and a canteen, Here are the two people with his little leadership squad. Again, so a lot of the other SMGs are coming from... I had a lot of submachine guns left over from my Marine Corps box, so I'll be using a lot of those as well. You tell this guy doing a reload, tapping the bottom of the Thompson. Got another guy. So I said a lot of these guys will be putting holsters on the right side, and I'll be putting their batons on their left side, Right now I just have holsters on the officers and NCOs. I have a whole bunch of other holsters from like different nations that I'll be using. Yep, five Jeeps. So funny, I'll actually be using here. Hold on. So I do have some 1/48 scale Schwimm wagons I'll probably be using as well, because the 83rd Infantry Division stole every vehicle they could get their hands on, so figured Schwimm wagons would be pretty cool Jeeps. Yeah, no gold in this barrel. And so for each squad's gonna be set up the same. There's gonna be a non-commissioned officer with an NCO. I mean, sorry, non-commissioned officer with an NCO. An NCO, non-commissioned officer with a submachine gun. And also, these little tactical man purses or merces. That's to signify that they're carrying anti-tank grenades. So each little squad's gonna have one guy who's gonna have this little manlet. You can say that's filled with like Comp D, you know, for anti-tank work. So each squad's also gonna have 3 additional troopers just packing submachine guns. You can tell these guys are actually doing, I try to model them where they're actually doing like reloads, you know, slapping their mags in. And then the other 2 people in each squad, because it's a 6-man squad, so an NCO and 3 guys, so that's 4 SMGs. The other 2 are gonna have BARs. I use Dragon Teeth to kind of put these guys like on a checkpoint. There's another guy checking with binoculars, and he's got his BAR ready. And that's it. That's all the squads are composition. I'm just doing random poses because I'm using BARs from airborne kits, Marine Corps kits, and these Ranger kits. This guy, you know, he's got his BAR like he just grabbed it, but he also has his pistol pulled out. So here's another guy with his tactical merce. Yeah, sure. So the Dragon Teeth are actually from Warlord Games. They're anti-tank terrain. You know, you get like some stuff to make Czech hedgehogs. You get some big radical square ones that I'm using actually for more of my Egyptian, North African style guys. I'm using those for like the bazookas to take cover behind. And you also get these Dragon Teeth. At first I thought they were a little small, but I think they're just about right actually. You know, and they're terrain that fits on the base. That's what I like about this. Is I like scatter terrain that fits on the 25mm base, so I don't have to put them on anything extra. You know. This is a real quick way to signify, you know, this is a very quick way to pick out the platoon leader, you know? Like that's actually pretty easy. Other than just relying on the white stripe on the back of the head. But yeah, a lot of so the bodies and the helmets are from the new Ranger box. The one that has like all the Saving Private Ryan guys on it. But I'm using a lot of Marine Corps arms and some airborne arms. And I'll also be mixing in some more arms from, let's see, let me show you some of the sprues we'll be using. Alright, this is some leftover Marine Corps sprue. Not much left on it, actually, you know? I've been using a lot of it. I do have one airborne sprue that was given to me as a, from Warlord Games as like a freebie with some of the other stuff I had attached. I'm saving the bodies to put in my, my Tomb Raider unit, but it did have some pretty cool SMGs and stuff like it. It really has that really cool 30 cal machine gun I want to use for something, but I'm not sure what yet. I'm trying to save it. But the Marine Corps one does have a lot of SG arms that I never used, you know, because usually with the Americans I just use rifles to take advantage of that rifle ability they have. But some of the other things we'll be using probably some, maybe not the French, but probably some partisan arms and some British arms where they're pulling out like different types of revolvers and pistols. All different types of pistols. So I figured the MPs, if they weren't all issued pistols, which I'm pretty sure not everyone was, that's the first war trophy they'd pick up. Or if they're, you know, arresting a drunk paratrooper, you know, they're going to take his pistol off of him and they're probably likely not going to give it back. So they probably have shit tons of German pistols. Hey, what's going on, Commander? Yeah, we got everyone up in the chat. This is awesome. But yeah, that's what we're doing today. So it's 30 infantry, 6 trucks, and 5 jeeps. Every truck and jeep are veterans with heavy machine guns. Every trooper you here see is veteran. They're all tough fighter. Even the ones with the BARs are still a tough fighter. Both the squads have anti-tank grenades. Obviously, the leadership squad doesn't. But yeah, we'll finish this guy, and then we'll start the next platoon. I was worried I wouldn't have enough submachine guns, but I think I absolutely do. Same thing with BARs. I think I got plenty of BARs. The only thing I can't lose a helmet because there's not a lot of these like flat plain helmets that are perfect for the MPs. So I'll show you the other trick I pick it up. So one of the other things I'm doing is I picked this up. Let me this is one of my, I guess, modeling secrets. Not that I'm like super experienced, but I like using gunpla markers. This is a white one, so that's gonna make writing MP on the helmets and possibly even the brassards. In case you're curious what the term is, it's brassard. Writing the MP on the helmet and the brassard a little bit easier. And then to put the vertical strap on the back of the officer helmet and the horizontal strap on the NCO helmet, and to write MP on the vehicles, like on the bumpers, you know, 83rd Infantry on one side of the bumper and MP on the other. I have this bad boy. Yeah, Irish, same thing. Looking at the TO and E, it's wild. And not only that, is that's the beauty of doing the ragtag circus, the 83. Dude, they stole everything, not just vehicles. And also, this is the battle for the fall of Berlin. So this is the end of the war. So these guys probably have all sorts of shit that they scrolled away and found, you know, because you got to remember the 83rd Infantry was the first unit across the Rhine too. So yeah, they stole everything that wasn't nailed down. Hey, what's going on, Nathan? Yeah, so he brings up a good point. If you guys haven't seen the show, I'm sure everybody has. Anyone who plays Bullets Action has probably seen the show. But if you haven't seen Band of Brothers, there's a really good scene. Obviously, I won't spoil it, but it's towards the end of the series, obviously. They're manning a checkpoint, you know. It's not all MPs. They have regular paratroopers doing it. The cool thing is he's doing it as a joint patrol with a field Jaeger, or a Kittelhound, if you want to call him that by their slang term. So a German military police. You could tell because he has his metal necklace around his neck, signifying him as a field Jaeger, military police for the Germans. And he's a cool guy. He's not an SS. He's not like a crazy hard line. He's like, yeah, I've been in 2 world wars. He's like, France is nice, you know, this and that. And it's cool. It's cool because as someone who's done military law enforcement, a lot of times you always do joint patrols. Like I said, I've rolled with Turaf, Turkish Air Force. I've rolled with Jardama, Turkish National Police. I've rolled with Carabinieri, Italian National Police, and obviously ITAF too, Italian Air Force. I've rolled with Polish, a bunch of different militaries, right? It's kind of cool. So seeing that detail is really neat to see the joint patrol on the gate. But if you pay attention, when his buddy comes to relieve him, they keep their rifle. So the guy coming to relieve him has a rifle, and the guy who's relieving has a submachine gun. But you'll notice they'll take off their belt. They take off their duty belt. On that duty belt probably has that pistol and that flashlight. Yes, thank you, Gorget. You guys are so quick. I'm like, it's Gorget. It's like, I don't get points for knowing Kettlehound, but, you know, I missed Gorget, so I lose all my points. Alright, let's see how it is. The chat is so quick to turn on you. Kidding, just kidding. Alright, let's get building a little bit. Hey, what's going on, HS? We're building my pretty damn near historical list, actually. Historically accurate list for a Fall of Berlin game. Me, Irish, and RK have been working on it for a while, you know, checking all these TO and E's and checking pictures and all sorts of stuff to try and put it together. It's a very SMG and BAR heavy infantry unit for the Americans. It's an MP unit. Why did I have a feeling, RK, that it was French? Well, actually, some of you know the German military may, like I said, obviously I specialize more in the Imperial Japanese models. But for the Germans, I want to say, I think they had two different types of military police. They had like one that was almost more like U.S. Marshals, what we use our U.S. Marshals for now, where they're basically hunting down fugitives and AWOL people. And then they had their actual like field German police who kept them around, stuff like that. And that's before you get into the whole, you know, secret police and that whole thing. Oh, these are, I'm building these guys for a almost more historical game, Fall of Berlin. So I can't, pretty sure they're not gonna really sneak my Japanese into the Fall of Berlin battle. So I'm making a small little MP platoon. Oh yeah, yeah. Later when you get into like how, you know, without getting political, of course, when you get into how European police, law enforcement works, it's super interesting from an American perspective. You know, I always find it super interesting. A lot of European countries have a military police, national guard, national police style thing that would seem very odd to people here stateside in the continental American landmass. We start talking about the gendarmes or gendarme or carabinieri. It could be kind of a weird concept for some, I guess, Americans to understand. Not saying that in a derogatory way, like Americans, obviously I'm one, but I'm saying if you haven't seen them before, it can be kind of weird. Oh, I wanted that arm a little bit lower, but it's alright. We'll see what we This one I kind of wanted to pose him more like he was pulling the bolt back on the Thompson. I do have like one grease gun left as far as SMGs, but I'm saving it for my actual Tiki the Hut model because it's one of my favorite guns of all times that I never got to shoot. I told that story like a bunch of times. I came so close to getting to shoot one. I was so sad about it. So I'm saving the actual grease gun for an actual Tiki the Hut model. Oh yeah, RK. I'll do that. I'll do that poll the next stream. Best hats. Well, actually, that's interesting, Commander. For the U.S. Navy, they actually have their own rating. It's the Master at Arms. They generally handle all the naval law enforcement. Yeah, so here in the States, we have something in the United States of America. We have, and actually, not in every state, and definitely not in all the territories, but traditionally in the South, we have sheriff departments. So what a sheriff department is, the sheriff department, it's for the county. So we have, you know, like the county, and then the state, and then, you know, the 50 states and the nation, right? So you have federal, state, and county. So you do have state law enforcement, you have local law enforcement like city and municipal and stuff like that, and you have federal law enforcement. So we have a cool little in-between thing with the counties. So the cool thing about county sheriff's departments is, for the states that have them, you know, obviously in some places call their counties parishes like Louisiana, but But anyways, so a county sheriff is actually elected. So the county will hold an election, and they vote for everything else, as far as like presidential elections and other elections, they also vote for their county sheriff. So unlike a police chief who works for the city and is appointed by the mayor, the sheriff is actually duly elected by the county. And usually, not always, usually county sheriff's deputies they're much more about keeping the peace than they are about law enforcement, if that makes sense. Like they're much more rural based, less metro based. So you won't see them in the cities, you'll see them out in the country roads. And usually your highways, which belong to the state, are patrolled by your state law enforcement, which is highway patrol. So it's like a hierarchy of law enforcement. Super interesting. If you're into that kind of thing, I don't know, obviously I am. So the Super Troopers in that movie, they were state law enforcement. They were highway patrol. That's why they had the rival with the local city law enforcement. And they were. That's why also they had less money, because they were state. Usually, city police get paid more because cities generally have more money. Yeah, state law enforcement usually gets paid the least. County isn't bad, and federal you make good money. Bad Rabbit, what do you mean by that? What do you mean by newer models? I'm not sure what you mean by that. You're talking about the Conflict 47 starters? They'll show all the models that they come with. I'm not sure what you mean by newer models. You'll have to elaborate that a little bit for me. Yeah, state troopers is why they call them bears or smoky bears, because they wear campaign hats. Yeah, RK's right. And also, every state is different. So, like the Great Republic of Texas, they also have, instead of Highway Patrol, they have Department of Public Safety. And inside Department of Public Safety is where resides the Texas Ranger. One riot. Texas Rangers are almost, in history-wise, they were a very paramilitary force. Now they're strictly a law enforcement force. Usually they do like special investigations and some other stuff. So you can see this guy kind of just hand back, like he's kind of just like racked back the bolt and just gonna let it fly. So Bad Rabbit. Well, okay, that's what you're talking about. So the only one that I know of is the Soviet one. So the USSR does have those quote unquote old models where you have to actually like put the rifles in their hands, which I mean I'm a fan of because it just leads to better kit bashing, but some people don't like that. The best way to figure out which is which is just watch some videos for some unboxing. What I can tell you is the Imperial Japanese one. It is the same bog standard Imperial Japanese infantry sprue that you get in any other box. So, pretty sure the Germans are the quote-unquote old. The only one that's like super old is the Soviet one. All right, let me. Now that I got that guy built, let me dig with the poles. All right, apparently everyone's super excited to play as the Axis. All right, cool. All right, there's your poll by popular demand. Hey, what's going on, Francois? All right, we're just what I am is I'm building a small little military police platoon, getting ready for a Fall of Berlin game. That's why I'll have like little dragon teeth on them, like they're doing checkpoints. So I figured because I only have so many dragon teeth, so I'm doing 2 dragon teeth per 6-man squad, 1 dragon tooth on the bazooka team, and then I think on the platoon leaders I'll do a barrel. I think Fez was all. I think a lot of people wore Fez. That's like saying a turban or, you know, a cap with, you know, ears on it belonged to one nation. I mean, a lot of people wore it because it's just practical headgear. I know a lot of people have like pride in berets, and trust me, I understand. I remember getting mine. It's a big deal. But I will say it is a wildly impractical head garment for military, for like field service. I love the Carabinieri hats that they used in World War I. Those things were awesome. If you've never seen like a full dress uniform for the Carabinieri, it's cool. So a cool story when I'm getting the models together for the next squad. One of the cool things I got to do is I was invited to go to Rome during Christmas. Again, this is Rome in Christmas, right outside the the Vatican City. So a lot of military presence, a lot of Carabinieri everywhere, and you know you had your tactical guys who were ready to respond in armored vehicles that are, you know, full kit up, paramilitary Gucci stuff. But then you had the badass Carabinieri. If you've never seen what a Carabinieri dress uniform looks like, you know, Hugo Boss can eat a dick. But the Carabinieri probably have some of the coolest dress uniforms. They still have capes. It's like black and red, dude. It's like Count Dracula, or it's like Count Dracula's elite guard. They look badass. Yeah, look them up. They have one of the cooler dress uniforms. Oh, nice, painting games. I hope your airbrushing goes well for you. Yeah, the ball cap. The ball cap definitely beats the patrol cap Irish. One of the cool things we did, it was one of our ways to kind of identify what unit you were with. So when I was in Afghanistan, it was the time when everyone was wearing multicams, which is cool. Every branch is wearing multicams, which is really neat. You know, nobody stuck out. Nobody like stuck out as like a high value target. So it's kind of cool. Everyone wore multicams. So one of the problems is it can be hard at, recognizing what branch or, what career field or MOS or whatever you are. So one of the cool things we started doing, a real fast way we figured out to do, like, not really a friend or foe, but more like friend or friend kind of way of identifying, is we got, multicam ball caps, right? And they have Velcro on the front. So we got the local hobby shop, to make it. He made patches, right? So we had to try and come up with, like, what's a open source intelligence way of showing what military unit we're with on a patch on the front of a hat. Like, how can you convey the most information in an open source way but still have it somewhat classified? And obviously this isn't classified, so that's what I'm telling you now. So the way we figured out how to do it, it's really neat, is we got patches made where the background was multicam, but we got NFL team logos put on it. It sounds kind of silly, but it showed what squadron or what unit you were with. For example, the base I was deployed from was right outside Tampa, Florida. So, my small little 13-man squad, what we did to show what unit we're from, is we had our ball caps, or sometimes we wore the patches on our vest or backpack or what have you. But we had multicam patches with Buccaneers, the NFL Buccaneer team. So that way when you saw it, you're like, hey, I know exactly who those guys are. Like, those are, this unit. Like, oh, okay, I know. Oh, you're one of those guys. Okay, cool. So it was kind of like our low-tech, open-source way of kind of signifying who's who. It's the same thing. We're walking around and we could spot, who was 10th Mountain, who was this and that, just by their NFL team that they had. It was a really cool kind of way to kind of signify that. It's really neat. I think it's a neat little factoid. Hey, what's going on, Squid? You keep knocking on it, Nathan. It's actually not a bad game, man. You gotta try it. I think you're actually really gonna like the story. I was just catching up on the chat. All right, let's get building. Funny you mentioned that, Squid. So, in Air Force Basic, you get issued a duffel bag like everybody else, right? But I started my career way before that, Naval Reserve. I still have my old, like, sea bag. And everyone knows the difference between, like, a duffel bag and a legit sea bag of, like, that one strap. Like, this is an old-ass sea bag. That is still my preferred bag that I used my whole career, like, all the branches I changed. I still use my old-school sea bag from, like, my first boot camp. That shit was amazing. It wasn't like the duffel where you have, like, the straps. I mean, this thing had, like, one strap. And you just, it's hard to explain, but I think it was, like, made really well. I used it a lot. Yeah, I saw you got your Tomb King box half off, man. That looked awesome. Also, your models looked good in the picture, but the orcs looked good too. Since I'm getting into orcs, I took a look at him. He painted his models real well. Yeah, so a lot of people may not know that. So that's one of the cool things about what's known as the OCP uniform. It's, everyone says multicam for multicams. But what a lot of people don't know is something that was kind of unique about the actual OCP uniform that you wore in Afghanistan, and also what made them wildly uncomfortable and actually disgusting, is it was actually a porous uniform. And what I mean by that is it's a cool feature of the multicam is it had it had almost like open pores in the fabric. Is a good way to think about porous, is a good term for it, because what it would do is it would take in dirt from the area that you're operating in. And no matter how many times you washed it, you could not get that dirt out. And the whole point was it was supposed to blend that uniform into wherever you are. So if you were wearing the multicams, let's say, can't say that. Nope, can't say that. Okay, if you were wearing the multicams in southern Turkey, it would mix with that type of clay and dirt, and it would stain the uniform, a certain more shade of brown / multicam, right? Versus if you wore the OCPs where they're supposed to in Afghanistan, you got that red dirt in there. When that red dirt starts working into the fabric, it actually dyes the OCP multicam camouflage a different shade. So the more you're in theater, the more you wear the uniform, the more it blends to the local area. It's actually, it really was kind of like a low-tech way of doing an adaptive camouflage. The downside is you can feel it. Like, it's almost like sweat that never washes out of your clothes. Like, even when you wash it, you put it on, you can still feel like the grimy, old dirt, sweat. Ugh. They're not comfortable. Useful, but not comfortable. Not a lot of people know about the OCPs, you know. As you can tell, I'm a huge nerd, and I've learned a lot about the stuff I did. I don't think they do that anymore. I think now they have, like, the legit multicams that are all, like, clean and fancy and stuff. They don't have those old ones anymore. Yeah, you joke about BDU, but at least where I'm at here in like central Florida, central South Florida, kind of where these like little subtropical jungles are. Either woodland. I just don't like the black that's in woodland, but either woodland or if you have the money and you want to spend it, getting Cryptek Mandrake. That camouflage is stupidly good. So when I wasn't wearing like all my little Arabic throbes and stuff like that, like in like Chinese AK chest rigs, when I was OP4, like when we actually got to wear like legit camouflage as OP4, I either wore old school BDU sets when I first joined, or I wore like green cargo pants with Mandrake t-shirts and hats and stuff. Cryptek Mandrake is an amazing camouflage, at least for my area. Obviously, they make different patterns for different areas, but where I'm at, it's legit. Alright, next up, we're going to do the next platoon leader and his 2 adjutants. This one's going with the chat. I can't wait to see him, Francois. I do love the look of the Imperial Japanese in Dust 47. It does look good. Depending where your jungle is, Squid Fist. If you have more of a tropical jungle, I always found the multicam tropic it's too bright, it's too weird looking. But Cryptek Mandrake is. So what makes Cryptek Mandrake so good, in my opinion, over BDU? BDU is a phenomenal camouflage. The problem with BDU is it has black in it. Black is not a naturally occurring color. So particularly during the day, it can be kind of hard. But Mandrake is more of a snakeskin style hex camouflage, but it doesn't have any black and it has various shades of green and brown and a little bit of tan. Yes, clearly. Oh, and Irish, don't forget baby poop stripes on your weapon. You have to have the baby poop. Otherwise, why wear the short shorts, you know? If anyone knows what we're talking about the Rhodesians. If you've never seen Blood Diamond, I highly recommend it. It's probably one of my favorite scenes from any movie. South African. I'm from Rhodesia. She's like, don't we say Zimbabwe now? Such a good movie. So it's funny you say that, HS. So for some of our OP4 guys, so around the time I was doing my final instructor time, when I was doing a lot more OP4 stuff, the uniform had officially changed again. So all the Blue Force, all the kids we were training, were all wearing OCPs, which in the jungles of Central Florida does not work very well. Anywho, so one of the postulated threats, or one of the scenarios we were running, is we weren't just like, you know, the GLA. We had to actually be like a somewhat regimented Op 4 unit, you know? So we had to have an actual uniform. So the uniforms we ended up doing, it was genius whoever came up with this. I wish it was me, but it wasn't. Is we took all of our old ABUs and ACUs, right? So that's Airman Battle Uniform and the Army Combat Uniform. So that's that old digital pattern, right? That only blended in with concrete. So everybody brought in their old ACUs and ABUs that fit. And we put them in a big old, like, cooking pot, like a big old, like, crab pot. And we mixed in, I don't know what dye he used. He had, like, this, like, green candy apple style dye. It looks super bright green. I was like, this is gonna look like ass, right? But he puts in this dye and he just starts stirring it around like some witch stirring a big old cauldron pot. And so we steeped and dyed all of our ACUs and ABUs in this like stupid candy apple green. Oh my god, when those uniforms came out and dried, they looked amazing. It was like because every different shade of the ACU and ABU picked up that green and changed the shade of it. So the ABUs with the digital tiger stripes looked amazing dyed green. So yeah, we just took ACUs and ABUs and we dyed them green, and that was our like more regimented Op 4 uniform. It looked awesome. I'm not gonna lie. It was great at night. It was a little too bright still during the day, but at night it was phenomenal. So HS, me and Irish were talking about this. I would like to take the like the Korean rules, or like a modern rule for bolt action, and what I think the setting that would be the best and would like sell like hotcakes, and again this is just my opinion, would be a Red Dawn. So imagine all the terrain, like imagine having like a Burger King and stuff like that, you know, and like a movie theater and like a football stadium and stuff like that. Imagine like Wolverine models and stuff like that, you know, but imagine Red Dawn but 28mm with bolt action rules. You know, Cold War, you could have Heinz, you could have BTR 60s, BMP 1s, 2s, you know, technicals, you know, you have, you know, Jim Bob's pickup truck with an M60 on the back. Yeah, they do. Yeah, RK, I have some Black Studio stuff for a lot of my Fallout stuff. I use a mixture of TT Combat, and I use the only in Black Studio. So I like Black Studio because they're in Texas, so the shipping isn't bad. The only downside is if you ever try to order from Black Studio, nothing is in stock. It is like the boutique of boutique miniature stuff. They never have anything in stock. It's I mean, I've never shopped in person. Maybe that's what I do, but when I order online, everything is sold out all the time. It drives me insane. Yeah, no, HS, that's where I was going with it. So I would do a Red Dawn as like the starter box, and then from there you do the full Cold War. So that way you could do whatever you want. Do you want to do, you know, Falklands? Do you want to do Afghanistan with the Mujahideen? You know, do you want to do East German, West German, Berlin Wall? It opens up all of that 80s Cold War nostalgia. But I think that the best like starter kit, or the best way to introduce it, is Red Dawn, and then expand from there. Oh yeah, if I could figure out what army would be the best for making a GLA army in bolt action, I think I would. A lot of people say like British, you know, long range desert group, and that might be what I'm doing. Because I ordered 5 Jeeps for my MP army, right? Because it has 5 Jeeps in it. But I found my 3 Schwimmwagons, so it should give me 3 extra Jeeps to start a long range desert group army after this. But yeah, I think using like the Afghan warrior models from Wargame Atlantic, that might be on my long list of armies to make, you know, is to make a legit GLA. Oh, nice, HS, nice. So if you're interested in the Commander, I got a book for you. It's this one takes place in the 90s. But it's probably one of my favorite. I don't want to say modern military books because obviously it's the 90s. It's not very modern, but it kind of has that whole Cold War feel to it a little bit because again, it's the 90s. But if you've ever read Vortex by Larry Bonds, I want to say. So Vortex is, again, guys, the 1990s. So you know, politics to the side. It's an alternate history. South Africa has this crazy civil war. A bunch of African communist countries, you know, they bring the Cubans over, the Russians get involved, and they're marching down on South Africa. I won't ruin what happens, but South Africa goes absolutely ballistic. If you never read the book and you like alternate history, modern military stuff, read Vortex. Vortex is really good. Oh, Arcade, GLA is the Global Liberation Army. It's the terrorist faction from Command and Conquer Generals. You know, where you had China, the US, and the GLA. Alright, let's get building a platoon officer. Larry Bonds, Bravo, Oscar, November, Delta. He also wrote Red Phoenix. Red Phoenix is really good too. That's a 1990s modern day Korean War. North Koreans start tunneling under the DMZ and they pop up surprise with a whole bunch of T-72 tanks. Shit gets wild. So if you like Red Storm Rising and stuff like that, you know, classic Tom Clancy before they started butchering his name and putting on to shitty video games he never wrote. Yeah, HS. So that was one of the cool things. Is it was kind of neat learning about the SADF and like their rifles and their vehicles and stuff like that. A lot of wheeled vehicles. So it's kind of cool getting a glimpse into another military style. Which if you play, I can't think of the game. What's the game called? I think it's called like Wargame actually. Yeah, Wargame. Red Dragon Rising or Dragon Rising. I forgot what the latest expansion's called. You know, one of the nation packs you can get is the South Africans. I use them a lot, actually. I like their wheeled vehicles. I mean, I see what you're saying, RK, but you really don't need much. You just need, like, AK chest rigs and AKs, and you're there. Alright, so we have a barrel, I think, for the officer. We're gonna put the barrel kind of sideways, make it look a little bit different. All right, let's get building. Yeah, so if you guys have ever seen the movie Mad Max Fury Road, the chest gear, like the LBV load bearing vest that he's wearing, where it has like a built-in backpack, stuff like that, that's actually a South African one. As far as load bearing vest, it's actually a pretty decent layout and setup. Tactics wise, the SADF, particularly in the 90s, they were a very motorized units. You know, they really relied on the whole motor rifle concept. That's how this unit's going to be kind of built. So, you know, each of these squad, this squad has its own truck with a heavy machine gun. The squad has its own truck. Sorry, I had to sneeze. The squad has its own truck with a heavy machine gun. The squad has its own truck with a heavy machine gun. These guys will have their own truck with a heavy machine gun. They'll share it with the bazooka team. And the same thing here. That's why we have 6 trucks with heavy machine guns. The cool thing is I'm paying all the points because, you know, I had to fill up my points all the way up to like 1,500. So I'm taking those Mack heavy trucks. So the cool thing about that is there's room to carry people. So we show up to this big old Fall of Berlin game. I'm going to have guys in trucks, but I'm going to have shit tons of room in my truck. So hopefully they'll let allies transport each other, which will be cool. Kind of like how me and Irish did with the party wagon in the first Battle of Moto, where I rode in his half track. I have exactly heard of executive outcomes, HS. I have heard very much about executive outcomes. Yeah, HS, I'm using my Timu trucks. And for the Jeeps, I'll probably be using 3 swim wagons as long as they're the right scale, and then I'll put 2 Jeeps with it. And the 5 Jeeps all have heavy machine guns too, so it's a very fully mobile force. Everything's going to be in trucks and Jeeps, and everything has heavy machine guns. It's not competitive, but it's going to be fun. Yeah, HS, I'm not sure if you were here when I was telling the story about how I found out about Canic pistols. One of my jobs when I was leaving Afghanistan was to train the private security force that was replacing a lot of the other stuff, and it was some real cheap company. I think it was like Aegis, you know? Anyways, they had terrible rifles but decent pistols. As an area supervisor, I was pulling up to this one scene, and like my contractors were a mix. Like the prior military were good. Some of the prior civilians were great. Then I had some like weird washout people. But long story short, I showed up one time. One guy had an extra pistol tucked into his vest. I was like, what the hell? As soon as I showed up, I could smell the cordite from like the gunshot and the powder. And I just like walked up and did a quick examination of the scene. Like I saw one guy sitting in the passenger seat of the truck with his head down like he was crying. I saw one dude standing pissed off with the empty pistol tucked into his vest. And as I walked up, I looked and I could see the bullet hole through the driver's side door of the little white truck. And then I looked to the other side, I saw the porta potty, and there was a hole right through the porta potty. It went straight to the T-wall. So without 2 seconds, like, was he playing Quick Draw McGraw? He's like, that's exactly what he was doing. So one dude went in to take a, to hit the head with the porta potty. When he stepped out and walked away to like check his phone, the other guy was playing Quick Draw McGraw in the shotgun seat of the truck and was pulled out his pistol and squeezed off a round. And it's a 9mm ball round, right? So it went straight through this fucking truck door, right into the porta potty where the guy was sitting like 2 minutes earlier. It's insane. Yeah, I haven't made any technicals, but I figured for the jeans that are cold, there are probably some good ones out there. So yeah, I'm using a mixture of the Ranger thing for the bodies. I'm using a lot of these Marine Corps and airborne arms, and for the Thompsons and the bars, the BARs. Like I like the barrel, but I don't want my officer necessarily hiding behind the barrel, so I think I'm gonna swap out the crouching body for something else. Like I want the officer with the barrel on his base, so it's easy to spot, but I also don't want the officer hiding behind a barrel, you know, if that makes sense. I'll be right back. I gotta drop the piece and grab it real quick. Alright, I'm back. Sorry about that. It wasn't like fully on the sprue, so once I cut one and the whole thing fell off, I was like, no, I need that. Nice, HS, that sounds cool. Yeah, so this Fall of Berlin game should be in May, so I have plenty of time to build it. I haven't looked at it. I mean, obviously I looked at the MASH set of models, just gonna be a huge MASH fan, but I haven't really looked at the rules. I should to see how a helicopter works. Like I put helicopters into Conflict 47, but I think one of the other things I'll do to model my vehicles, other than just putting MP on them, I'm gonna try and get a lot of the like the, I think who is it, Army Painter makes it, like little barbed wire sets, you know. And I think I'm gonna put like spools of barbed wire like on the hood of all the vehicles, you know, and get like barricades ready to be put in the back of the truck, you know, so each one of these trucks is like a mobile checkpoint. I think it'd be kind of cool. Yeah, I asked a few more people around like what they saw in the demo game. I didn't really get any new information on what I already got. So the more I thought about it, though, the more I think the Rift Tech dice are gonna actually be kind of cool. I think it's good for it to be a separate thing than bolt action rather than just like a bolt on. Pardon the pun, you know, or like a small mod. You know, I'm kind of glad it's its own thing. So here, not really a spice take, but here's why I think why I'm a huge fan of the Rift dice idea so far. You know, I haven't seen anything with my own two eyes, so I could be completely wrong. I'll be the first one to admit when I'm wrong. But why I'm excited about the Rift dice is it makes the game a lot more swingy. And what I like about that is swingy mechanics like that really kind of keep the competitive wacka scene at bay. Not every competitive person's a wacka, you know, I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is by the sheer nature of Comic 47, the weirdness of it, especially now with the Rift dice, I feel it's going to kind of keep it away from, there'll still be event play, you know, like cool events, but I don't think it's going to be like a die-hard, you know, post an errata every 6 months and bounce everything for a tournament style meta. Not sure what you mean by stacked. I mean, you get a certain amount and you can use them for certain units. So an officer will have Rift die that he can use for his units of the platoon, and then special Rift Tech units will have their own Rift die for their own special ability. And if you use it, then you roll to see if you get to keep it for the next turn, or it could just kind of go off like a one-shot thing. Yeah, the heavy walkers are prohibitively expensive. I'm not gonna lie. It's one of the many things I'm glad about being Imperial Japan. If we don't have any heavy walkers, you know, I don't have to worry about getting like a Soviet Mammoth for like $130. Like fuck that. Yeah, RK. It reminds me more and more of Red Alert 3. Like all the Red Alerts were pretty decent in their own way, but Red Alert 3, every model, every unit had an alternate fire mode. You know what I mean? Like the like the Japanese soldiers could switch to a beam katana, or the cryocopters had the shrink ray. You know, the peacekeepers had a shield. You know, everybody had an alternate alternate fire mode. This kind of reminds me of like everyone had like their own special thing, which is kind of neat. And also, it really makes taking the Rift models worth it, because you're like, you know, what are they worth the points? Is it worth the money? Yeah, Mammoth Walker's the same, but I don't know about ever getting one or building one. I'm happy with my my Locust Walker. I mean, it's no Merlin, but it's also not bad. Let me see what kind of bits I have for I'm looking for a cool left arm for the officer. Alright, I think I found it. I think I'm going to take an arm from the paratroopers. It's a fist, but if I can get him to kind of like do a closed fist, pumping up and down, like a assault kind of mode, hand signal, that'd actually be kind of neat. Yeah, there's some cool ones. I really like the Firefly where you can really kind of like jump around. I think you're gonna see some really cool stuff when you start talking about the Daughters of the Revolution, especially the ones with like sonic cannons. You have like the Siberian Terror Squad, the Ghost Attack Squad for the Imperial Japanese. I am really excited to see some of this stuff. I'm just amazed it's coming so soon, man. End of 2025. That was a huge surprise. We are literally getting a new edition of Conflict 47 before we get Armies of Empire of Japan. Oof. I did not have that on my Warlord Games bingo card. So that's the other thing I recommend. I know a lot of people are looking at the starter sets, and there's nothing wrong with that, because I think now's the time to get them, or maybe like a week ago would probably be the time to get them, before they go up crazy in prices. But also, wait for a sale, check the Warlord websites, and either get the books, the old books that come with the metal models, or wait to see some of the more hero units that are in metal models and get them while they're still there, because who knows if they're going to be around for the next edition, Like there's a Russian commissar who comes with his own Ursus infantry. There's a German scientist. There's all sorts of cool little metal minis that look like heroes that I don't think will make the next edition, Oh yeah, it does sound kind of cool, HS. I don't think they actually have the novels for sale anymore on Kindle or on the store, but there's actually two of them. There was the Seaforth Ladies and Going Dutch. They're actually pretty good. That's the only thing that worries me is that all the lore is going to get, you know, deep sixed for the new edition. Yeah, so that was also special bolt action models. There was like a priest slash vampire hunter for the British and an actual legit vampire for the Germans. All right, so here's the other officer. Kind of looks like he's holding either a phone up to his ear, or kind of doing like his pumping motion. That paratrooper arm just looks really small, almost like a little baby fist. But that works. Sorry for being quiet. I was just clipping some stuff off. I don't want the clips to come through the mic. Yeah, I think like a Sonic KV tank would be awesome, man. That'd be really cool. Or imagine like a KV tank with like a pencil-mounted infantry flamer. That'd be kind of neat. Honestly, like I said, I'm not really an expert with the. I said I know a lot about the Imperial Japanese models, Bad Rev, but you're gonna have to. Best thing to do is to Google the actual, bolt action airborne starter box, and get a picture of the actual sprue, and take a look. That's what I do for a lot of my kit bashing projects. I'll look up a box and I'll take a look at the sprue that comes in it, and I'll do all the planning and I'll sketch out models ahead of time so I know how many bits go to what, So that'd be my recommendation: is Google it and take a look at the sprue and see if. I'm not sure what kind of hands you're talking about, So see if they meet your criteria, as it were. All right, what am I looking for? Looking for another left arm. Oh man, that would have been a much better arm for the commander. Oh well. Found a much better like pointing left arm. That would have been looking a lot better on the commander, but it is what it is. So yeah, your airborne will also be able to be outfitted for glider infantry if that's what you want. So the airborne guys will have the you can use the 30 cal machine gun, and the glider guys can use the BARs. Glider guys don't get a lot of love, Oh, that's what you meant by glue in hand, where you gotta glue the gun in their hand. That's what you're saying. Oh, not me. I'm a leg all the way. I need to jump out of a perfectly good plane. Nah, some of my buddies went airborne, some of my buddies went air assault too. Yeah, I think the night landing we had in Malta Arcade was a little crazy for our airborne guys. It's fun, but a little crazy. Oh, I understand, Bad Rabbit. Yeah, sorry if that's a tall call. I'm just giving you my advice, and that's what I do when I plan out armies, as far as how much am I going to spend, what boxes am I going to get, how many models can I make with that box, what additional boxes or bits do I need. So I'll just let you know like how I go through about my kit bashing and planning out armies. So like I'm using the 30-man ranger box to make 30 guys, but There's no way I would have been able to make them 4 SMGs and 2 BARs per squad with just this box. I had to use a lot of other bits. Like, I didn't mind, like, hooking up people with, like, Warhammer 40k bits, you know? Sorry. But for bolt action, I keep all my bits. When I get, like, a 2-person Star Set, like Island Assault, where it came with Marines and Imperial Japanese, I use those bits for everything. I think it is HS and Rabbit. I think you guys are an awesome crowd. Yeah, man, this would have been a much better platoon officer model. The airborne fist pumping thing. I don't know, that arm just looks really small. I'll show you guys here in a minute. Let me let the glue settle. Figure what's a good MP without like a strong point or a knife hand. It's a transfer. Bad Rabbit, Arcade's right. It's a transfer you can do. So I'm about to say you could do the symbols on the helmets, but even that detail is pretty small. I believe so. I've never opened the airborne box. I'm not sure what comes in it, but I would imagine so. You paint a very good picture, HS. I feel like I can literally see him just based off your description. But yeah, it sounds like that airborne box may have everything you need, Bad Rabbit. Yeah, for the most part, I think that's something else they're doing is, so some units in old Conflict 47 didn't make the jump. A good example, Imperial Japanese Lunge Mines, Suicide Anti-Tank guys, they didn't make the cut. But you had exosuits with Panther Streak, so you didn't really need them, right? But from what I've read and from what I understand, that's what they're really trying to do, is they're trying to make sure everything from Bolt Action, or as many models as possible from Bolt Action 3rd Edition, make the jump over to Conflict 47. Yeah, I decided I think I'm going to make this guy the actual officer. Even though this one has a barrel, I'll just use more barrels and more guys, you know, that way it's not just like a officer thing. Yeah, that's right. Blame it all on MTV. That's fine. Yeah, I mean, Tesla Shermans, they sound cool and they look cool, but like rules-wise, I don't know. I haven't been impressed unless you're like shooting a big horde of zombies. I'm not really impressed with Tesla, you know? Yeah, I remember doing that at Scouts a lot too. It was a lot more like actual like field craft and you know stuff like that. But yeah, like flashlight tag and capture the flag were huge things. So I'm glad you brought that up, RK. Hey, thank you. I know you're kind of doing it to bait me, but I really do appreciate it. So that is the one thing that I do love, and I said it like 3 or 4 times when we played our game. That's something I do like about Combat 47 over 3rd edition Bolt Action. No templates. The game plays so much faster. I understand it's fun. I understand the psychological fun of putting models underneath your template. I do. I played 7th edition 40k. I remember. I loved it. You know, I get it. But, you know, the whole, like, how are your guys grouped up? What about space? Rolling dice is so much easier. And also, when you do the whole template, it's weird. Like, you put a template with the first 3 guys, you know, but it suffers wounds. They take it from the guy in the back. It's weird. You know, rolling dice for, like, HE and templates and stuff like that, it makes so much more sense. And I'm not crazy because that's how it works in buildings, too, you know? Like, I don't know. I think rolling dice is way better than templates. Um, so Bad Rabbit, as far as like what's good between Bolt Action and Conflict 47, I honestly I would any kind of any, I don't want to say any Sherman, but like your standard model Sherman. That way, in case they do boost Tesla, you can swap over to a Tesla Sherman. If not, you can stick with a regular Sherman. So, yeah, just your box standard Sherman body, like not like a Sherman Jumbo or anything like that. But yeah, whatever Sherman comes with a regular body, you really can't go wrong with. You know, you know what you're getting. You got your bow mini machine gun. You got your gun. It's a good tank. And Arcade, that is a fair point. Yes, I do like the way HE works with buildings. I do. I just like not using templates because, as you saw, it's easier, it's faster, and it avoids confusion. You know, because it's something silly. Someone's like, "Oh, hey, how many guys can I get?" I'm like, "Oh, yeah, you're looking at like 2 or 3." Then they come over and they measure like every single permeation they possibly can to see if they can get 4. I'm like, if you could get 4, I'd tell you can get 4. I'm not gonna lie and be like, "Oh, you can only get 3." You know, oh, I pulled the wool over your eyes. Like, it's like an extra 2 minutes for them to measure and figure out which ones they actually. Oh, God. Templates are just. I feel like it can be silly, you know? It takes away a little bit. I feel like it takes away from some of the, miscommunication that can lead. Fair, Arcade. That is an extraordinarily fair point. I will give you that. I will give you that. That is a very fair point. Well done. Well played, sir. Yeah. I won't get into that one. Arcade knows he was there, so I won't get into that one. I preferably I don't know. I'll still use templates, obviously, if that's the rule. I have no problem with it, you know, but dash roll is just a little bit faster. No, I have not called them, only obviously with the time zone difference. I shot a few emails. I email a few people there. Sorry about that. I email a few people there, but no, I haven't done any business over the phone, Bad Rabbit. Not with them anyways. I haven't had a need to. I haven't had anything drastically go wrong, so I haven't needed customer support. Everything I've ordered from them came pretty rapidly, and everything was in good shape, good order. Nothing was forgotten. If anything, they threw in extras. Not that I'm special, but just because I ordered from them, you know how they do that. Yeah, they do that for everybody. You order from the website, and if it's enough to get free shipping, they usually throw it. Not always. A lot of times they'll throw in like a free sprue, either of, usually it's whatever kind of game that they can think of. Sometimes you may get like Hail Caesar or Cruel Seas or, Pike and Shot. You never know what you're going to get. No, I understand. I understand, Bad Rabbit. No, that makes sense, man. There's some things I prefer handling over the phone as well, so I get it. This is the some of the Ranger arms for their Thompson. Actually goes together pretty well. Yeah, these 6-man units are all veteran. They all have Tough Fighter. Even the BARs that don't have submachine guns, I paid for the Tough Fighter rule. They also have anti-tank grenades. And then both leadership teams are just 3 guys with 3 veterans with SMGs. So. But yeah, I was thinking about 3rd edition bolt action, because you know the rules are coming to Conflict 47, and I was thinking pretty long and hard about it. You know, there's a joke in there somewhere, but I don't really have a problem with the rules. Like I said, not the biggest fan of close combat. Not the biggest fan of what they did with smoke. You know, I figured smoke got handled oddly. The Imperial Japanese nerf was coming. I wasn't surprised, but you know, it is what it is. But big picture, I like bolt action 3rd edition. Particularly the force selection. The platoon system, I think, was very well done. It is nice to see tanks on the tabletop. Outside of Tank War, Achtung Panzer, it is nice to see multiple tanks. There's a reason to have multiple tanks now, you know? It's nice. RK, are you talking to me? What do you mean? I am confused by your statement. The one thing I will say, so let me reiterate, because I know I have some of my own like kind of goofy rules. They're not really my rules, but something maybe RK can attest to, maybe not. Something I think I really like, and I got the idea from watching Morning Glory. I decided to try and do it here locally as well. Is I like, when in doubt, most things on the board should be light cover, because otherwise it's just Gears of War. Everyone's standing behind chest-high walls until you flank and kill someone. You know, like nobody goes down, everyone just hides behind cover. So, you know, for us, it's buildings and destroyed or functional 7-up armored vehicles. Those are the only things that are going to give you heavy cover, you know? Within reason, there will be other things like, obviously, if you have a big rock formation or a giant ruin, like, that's board specific, you know? But usually the rule of thumb is buildings and armored vehicles is how you get heavy cover. Oh, yeah, no, RK, I think that, so, especially the fact that they literally gave one of the British national characteristics the exact same thing as Bonsai, that really made us feel less special. I know our rulebook's coming, that's fine, but whatever. But yeah, I think that will help. That'll help keep, so a lot of people don't know, I came up with, like, someone asked me, it was a very good question. Someone asked me in one of the Discord chats, like, what would my ideas for the Imperial Japanese be for, like, rules? Let's see if I can think of it off the top of my head. So the first one I'll cover with the Bonsai rule. So for the Bonsai rule for the Imperial Japanese to balance it better, I would say that only regular or veteran units have access to Bonsai. And green units, no matter how their veterancy or quality changes, can never have access to the Bonsai rule. that makes sense to me. A lot of people ask, like, why do I run all my Imperial Japanese units as veterans? Historically, they were fighting in the 30s. You know, they started taking land in the 30s, long before the Condor Legion even flew over Spain. You know, the Imperial Japanese were out there taking land. So a lot of their troops are legit veterans. Yeah, it was the up and atom, I think, rule. So some of my other Imperial Japanese rules are a lot of people were kind of curious. They thought I put the point cost too high, but my other option was, and this is only for regular IJA and SNIL squads, because there's different types of Imperial Japanese squads. Like you can take the airborne for the army and for the air for the navy. You can pay 1 point to take engineers. This isn't that. This is if you take the box standard IJA infantry squad or SNIL infantry squad, where you can take up to 15 people. So with that, I put an option or an idea for an option where you could pay 30 points. Yes, I know it's expensive, but I picked 30 for a reason. You could pay 30 points, and one model in that squad can take a lunge mine or suicide charge, whatever you want to give them, in addition to their other weapon, the rifle, submachine gun, whatever it is that they're equipped with. Now, if you do that, the entire squad is not able to take anti-tank grenades as well. So it's either one or the other. Either you pay to take anti-tank grenades where every model gets tank hunter, or you pay the 30 points to give one of them a lunge mine, and that guy can actually do the kamikaze rule, and only that guy. So the reason why I made it 30 points is that way it balances. Because if you take a full squad that's 15 models, if you give them AT grenades, that's 30 points. So you get to choose. Do you want to give everyone AT grenades and give the whole squad tank hunter, or do you want to give one model the ability to have tank hunter and the kamikaze rule and use a lunge mine? The reason why I like that is that way you can still take your suicide anti-tank teams as part of your anti-tank option slot, where you have an anti-tank slot, you can take an anti-tank rifle plus up to 3 lunge mines. But this also gives you a chance to put a lunge mine into your infantry squads. This keeps people from just running a shit ton of tanks and trucks and just, harassing your infantry. It makes your infantry, it's meant to mirror what the Germans have with their, Panzerfaust that they can just throw into their squads. This allows the Imperial Japanese to have something similar. They can have their lunge mines. So my other rules were meant to kind of balance out the force as well. One of the ones something that bothered me is, the Soviets have their commissar rule, not one step back, right? So the commissars, if an infantry model within 6 fails the morale test, the commissar gives one, a 7.62 Tokarev or 7.25 Tokarev round to the back of the head, point blank prescription. Sorry, I was trying to think what their pistols were chambered in. 7.62, 7.25 Tokarev, I want to say. I can't think, sorry. Anyways, so they give one a pistol around the back of the head, and they're allowed to re-roll that, right? And it's not an option, it has to happen. So I think the same thing should apply to the Kimpotai for the Imperial Japanese. It shouldn't all just be a good thing. Like, you run a Kimpotai next to your Bamboo squad or your Militia squad, and they only get a good bonus, show me what you fight. I forget what it's called. It's like, show me your fighting or whatever it is. No, I think it should also have that same rule where if any infantry model within 6 inches of a Kimpotai, if they fail their morale check, the Kimpotai, you can even say takes a katana to one of them, like beheads one of them. That's really cool. Like that's very flavorful. That's very sadly accurate. So that was kind of cool. There was another rule I put in there that I can't remember to help kind of balance out the Imperial Japanese. But I think even just with those rules right there, 7.62 by 25 Tokarev. There it is. Yep, thank you. Those little bottleneck cartridges, those things move fast too. They'll defeat soft armor. But so I think with that kind of balancing where green models can never use the bonsai rule, and that Kimpotai, will execute a model if they fail their morale check, any model and infantry squad, I think that'll keep your bamboo spear abuse down drastically, actually. All right. Yeah, I think those were our only real big home rules. Like I said, there's some things I like home ruling, but I don't want to change it too much because like I said, you start changing too much and you change for your own personal preference. You know, like I would drastically change, you know, close combat and assault, but that's because I'm an assault heavy army, so that's not fair. You know, it's just smacks of favoritism and bias. But the two home rules I really do embrace that I really like is smoke, and RK nailed it with his input about scattering 2d6. I think that's so much better than 1d6. So yeah, smoke. If you hit, you know, if you get a 6 or if you dial in, then it hits right where it lands. That's awesome. If it misses, no matter what you roll, it scatters 2d6. I love that. I don't like the enemy repositioning where your smoke goes. I've always thought that was dumb. You know, I was like, always thought that was weird. I'd rather something scatter randomly than the enemy get to pick where your thing goes. I just think that's same thing. I'm not gonna lie, RK, I would love your input, and anyone else in the chat, let me know what you guys think about this. I think the friendly fire rule, I mean, I don't like that the enemy, the other player gets to choose like what model, if there is one within 6, or they get to roll the dice. I don't know, I feel like it just kind of like takes you out of it, you know? I don't know. It feels almost like too meta, you know? I like the randomization of it. That's the whole point of the dice, I feel, anyways. Yeah, the smoke is useful, and the cover. I think we play with the cover system a lot. Having that light cover makes things a lot more lethal. There's a lot less like, okay, I don't have to go down. No, you need to ask RK. Even my veteran infantry were going down all the time just to try and survive. Ooh, no. Okay, RK, that's interesting. I'm gonna have to look at that. A lot of guys know. Yeah. So a lot of people like Bo. I feel very indifferent. Like I said, he even admitted himself that he's a very competitive player, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like I said, I think that's cool. I'm just a different camp. You know, I'm a narrative event guy. Nothing wrong with it. You know, we just kind of travel in different circles. Rarely do I agree with Bo on like rules. So the fact that Bo is saying assault is messed up and he has his own rules, I think I'm definitely gonna take a look at him. Like, it's weird. If me and Bo are agreeing on something, something's awry. You know, like something may actually need to be looked at. It's funny you mentioned that, Bad Rabbit. I am actually working, you know, name drop, right? I'm working with Wood Imp and some other people to actually build my own pack, my own rules pack for Clash of the Caribbean. It'll have the special missions too. It'll have, RK knows what I'm talking about. It'll have my Bad Habit mission that I love. Bad Habit is it's a version of the top secret mission, but it actually has 3 separate models, you know, and it's a random mechanic on which one's the spy and which 2 are the civilians. If you've seen my narrative bat rep, that's the Bad Habit. So yeah, I'm building a pack that's gonna have 3 missions, rules for a 500-point event, and some homebrew rules. So I'm glad you asked that, Bad Rabbit. I'm working with Wood Imp right now to try and get my own pack written. Kind of excited about that. Almost feel like a real YouTuber, you know? Bad habit. Habit rabbit, not... Well, the reason why it's called a bad habit is you notice when I did it, I had nuns. So that's where the joke comes from. Because I figured, you know, operating in the Caribbean and South America where there's a lot of missionaries and missions, you know, nuns, no one really notices their comings and goings. So they make perfect spies. Oh, you're good. But yeah, it'll have the smoke rule, it'll have the cover rule, and I think that's really all I'm gonna change. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like if you start changing too much, we'll start. Maybe the Piat. I'll do my Piat rule where only Piats can fire. Bazookas and Panzerschrecks and Panzerfaust can't fire inside of buildings, but Piats can. But that's such a small minor thing, no one cares about it. But as far as for the 500-point armies for the Clash of the Caribbean, I think the only limitation I'm going to put on there is there's no dice limitation, right? So fucking go nuts. The only limitation is you can't take anything heavier than 7-up armor. So it's only going to be light armored vehicles. There's no, like, you can't show up, you know, with like one Panther and like some small infantry. That's dick move. You know? So that's the limitation, is it's going to be 7-up armor, nothing heavier than 7. So you're gonna see half tracks, armored cars, light tanks. Some countries light tanks are 7-up armor. I like your joke, RK. I'll teach you there. And I think the other thing I'll do, RK, is I'm going to take, the reason I keep saying your name, because Irish is here too, but I'm not sure if he's still in the chat. We tested vigorously the night fighting rules. Guys, we had, I think it was like 4 turns of night fighting, which I highly recommend. So the night fighting rules can be a little wonky. Dawn Assault is really good. Dawn Assault is the one I highly recommend. But you really need to read the rules first and truly understand how it works. We had to like kind of figure out how muzzle flashes work, you know? You really have to like figure out declaring and seeing your target. It's really cool. Especially, I'm not gonna lie, when you set something on fire, it gets really cool because like it affects what you can see. It's a really cool feeling, you know? But we're working on how line of sight works for indirect weapons with night fighting. You know, if you test the line of sight on what you can see from the observer, I'm thinking that's what it is. Because he's radioing in the coordinates to the actual fire team, you know? So I'm thinking that's how it should work. And that might be how I put it in the pack. Because one of the missions will definitely have night fighting. Yeah, because when we knew the sun was coming up, guys, we did a little close combat. We all just positioned our forces, and as soon as the sun came up for dawn, it was a red sun. There was blood everywhere. As soon as the sun came up and we could see each other, we just lit each other up left and right. It was almost like a ceasefire until the sun came up, then just all hell broke loose. It was pretty cool. But as you can tell, we're like sitting here joking around about it. It led to good, natural, fun gameplay. You know, it led to something different where you're like, oh my god, I didn't account for this. This throws everything I'm used to kind of off balance. It was really fun. And with Conflict 47, night fighting gets even more wild because some models actually have IR vision. So you can pop smoke and things like the Shrek Wolfen can see right through it. You know, like, that doesn't stop me, you know. Same thing when you read in the lore, the Germans set the Nachtjäger and the Schreckwolfen out at night to go absolutely raise hell against enemy lines and terrorize them because they can see in the dark. So it's actually pretty terrifying. So night fighting in Conflict 47 is going to get wild. I think I'll have to double check. I'm thinking maybe one of the Paragon units might. I don't think the U.S. Heavy Infantry. I think the U.S. Heavy Infantry might have IR vision, maybe not. I know the Imperial Japanese do. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, RK. And same thing. I think a light mortar can do some serious damage against like a 7 armor vehicle. So. This way, someone doesn't just show up with like a Panther and a bunch of inexperienced and like 2 inexperienced rifle squads and call it a day and just bully everybody off the table. Yeah, most of your heavy infantry do get it, and I want to say I think maybe British Grenadiers. All right, let's. I'll finish up this BAR and then I'll probably call it a night. We actually built a couple MP guys. We talked a lot about Conflict 47, which is exciting, and we talked about Clash of the Caribbean and Bad Rabbit, I'm glad you asked that question about a pack, because I actually have been working on that. Oh, but here's the biggest thing. So the biggest thing I will tell you about the Tesla Shermans that a lot of people forget, it's a few times I've played them. They do not get gyro stabilizer, so that is a cool thing that the U.S. gets for some of their tanks. But the Tesla cannon is not. Obviously, it can't be gyro stabilized. It's a Tesla cannon. So if you take that, you're losing out on that cool ability that American tanks have. So it really is a kind of risk reward, give and take kind of thing. But the biggest takeaway, guys, combat drop, the rules aren't bad. They're kind of just more for fun. There's nothing wrong with it, but night fighting. If you guys haven't done night fighting yet, take a look at Bolt Action version 3. Take a look at the rule book. Take a look at night fighting. And the next game you do, especially if it's like a smaller 500 or 750 point game, try and throw in a little bit of night fighting. Roll each turn, kind of see what happens. It is hilariously fun, and it really forces you to play different. That's what I like. It takes you out of your comfort zone, and you really got to get tactical. Alright, there's one of our next BAR guys. Yep, Arcade nailed it for me. I appreciate that. Thanks, brother. I was messing with this model. All right, yeah, chipping away at it. Like I said, only a few more models to build, and then just paint up my Temu trucks. And I'm waiting on a whole bunch of 3D printed 50 cows to come in. I literally had to order like, it was like, they came in like groups of, what was it, like 10, so I had to order like 20 of them. All right, hey, not a bad stream. I know these streams are a little bit shorter than they used to be. I appreciate you guys kind of tolerating that. You know, I know they used to be like 4 hours and 6 hours. Like I said, it's got a lot of stuff kind of going on, so I like to at least kind of get in these nice 2-hour streams. It gets me a little bit of modeling in, you know, and it gets some, you know, sometimes I model, sometimes I paint. Like I said, we still have our coyote to work on. You know, so I do like these little streams. Also, you know, some of the stuff we cover, sometimes I'll cover something and someone's like, oh, hey, do you know how to do that? I was like, oh yeah, that was in that one stream, and it's like a 4 or 5 hour stream. Someone's like, I'm not gonna watch that shit, you know. With 2 hours, it's a little bit easier to kind of like refer back to stuff, you know. But that being said, if you guys want like some of the stuff I cover in the streams, if you want that in a video, let me know and I'll make a separate video. I don't like cutting up my own streams and posting it as a short. That's not something I like to do. I feel like that's weird. It's like kind of shortchanging the people who are in the stream, you know. But I can make videos about any topic you want. Like someone asked me about the Tiki flage and how to do the painter's tape, so I'll make a video on that. Same thing with making the smoke. You know, how to make the little smoke effects with the LED tea candles and stuff like that. Those are all on the production deck to be made. But it was really fun talking rules with a lot of you guys. Finding out like home rules, what are some stuff that works, what are you guys kind of looking for, and keep your eyes peeled. I'll let you know as soon as I get that pack ready. And there's more information about Clash of the Caribbean. I know a lot of people are excited about that. I've been on the horn with Margaritaville at Sea at Paradise, you know, getting some stuff set up. They just recently did a renovation on the ships. Right now I'm trying to find out if there's still a library, if they changed the room that the library was in. It's this whole huge thing. So as soon as I get a confirmed hard date, I'm going to go ahead and push that out. And then again, the first 6 people who sign up will be in the actual event. And then anybody else who comes, you're happy to come along and hang out. And then during the actual excursion in the Bahamas, I'll stay on board the ship and I'll run Conflict 47 demo games. So that way you get both Bolt Action and Conflict 47 if you want. That way you don't feel like you have to spend the money on a shore excursion if you don't want to. You can always hang out on the ship, you know, after you go ashore, get some stuff, come back, and you know, you can play some Conflict 47. With that being said, like I said, guys, it's always a fun stream. I can't tell you guys how cool it is, like, actually look down and see, like, double digits in the chat. It's insane. I remember back when it was just, like, 2 or 3 people, and, like, 2 of those people were me. I do notice I'm seeing a lot of the same names. You guys are awesome and super supportive. Same thing, I notice everybody in the chat gets along. That's really cool, too, and that's pretty rare. So I appreciate all you guys, especially the ones who habitually join. It really does mean a lot to me. And it's always something to look forward to at the end of my workday. To be able to like kind of hop in, paint some models, build some models, and just chat with you guys about Bolt Action and Conflict 47. And I'm happy to answer any questions you have. Sometimes I may or may not have the answer, but I'll try and get back to you with the right answer, or at least point you in the right direction. So hopefully that helps. If you guys are headed to sleep, I hope you truly get the sleep you need. I hope you get that good REM sleep and you feel fully rejuvenated when you start your next day. If you guys are headed to work, I hope it's a phenomenal day of work. I hope you get the best parking spot. You know the one I'm talking about. You know, it's right there near the front door, but also under the shade tree and right next to the smoke pit, but not so close that you can actually smell people's cigarette smoke. You know, it's like that perfect, exact parking spot. I hope you get that one. And as always, I hope you guys stay safe, stay hydrated. Don't forget to relax today, because you're on Tiki time.
Shit like so soldiers on Moto sand, type MMA rifles in hand, hula gals with summer smiles, no war drums, just beach for miles. Ghost Park by Tiki lights, shadows dance in tropic nights, sand beneath where boots once stood, paradise ain't so misunderstood. Lost in waves and hula tunes, tiki drinks and months of moods, forgot the fight in distant lands, just surf and play with tired hands. Bunkers built from palm and hope, coconuts and crude soap, imperial dreams, fade and sun, warriors turn beach bums. Shine to ocean gods we raise, praying for forgotten days, sake in the campfire glow, life's a surfboard ebb and flow. Lost in waves and hula tunes, tiki drinks and months of moons, forgot the fight in distant lands, just surf and play with tired hands. And hula tunes, tiki drinks and months of moons, forgot the fight in distant lands, just surf and play with time.